What if I told you that the version of you everyone sees today could be completely unrecognizable in just a few months? Not by luck, not by some overnight miracle, but by practicing 5 tiny Stoic habits so powerful, they can rebuild your entire identity from the ground up. The Stoics didn't waste time chasing quick highs or fake happiness. They built themselves into men of steel, respected, unshakable, and remembered for centuries. And the truth is, you don't need to tear down your whole life to reinvent yourself. You only need micro-habits, small, invisible shifts that multiply into unstoppable strength. Today, I'm going to give you 5 Stoic self-care micro-habits that, if you commit to them, will make you so disciplined, so calm, and so unbreakable that even you won't recognize yourself anymore. Habit 1. Morning silence before the world wakes up. The first Stoic micro-habit that will reinvent you is deceptively simple, but incredibly powerful. Spend the first 10 minutes of your day in complete silence before the world wakes up. No phone, no notifications, no noise, just you, your thoughts, and the quiet of the early morning. The Stoics believe that the way you begin your day sets the tone for everything that follows. Marcus Aurelius himself wrote in his Meditations that each morning we should remind ourselves of what kind of world we're stepping into. A world full of challenges, people who may frustrate us, and obstacles that will test our patience. But instead of being thrown off by this, he prepared his mind in silence so that nothing caught him off guard. Imagine how powerful that is. Instead of reacting to chaos, you walk into the day already armored with clarity. Now, here's the truth. Most people today roll over, grab their phone, and flood their minds with other people's noise before they've even taken their first breath of the morning. Messages, headlines, likes, distractions, all before sunrise. That's not self-care, that's self-destruction. And this is where your transformation begins. By reclaiming your first few minutes in silence, you're declaring to yourself, I control my mind. I decide how my day begins. So what do you actually do during these 10 minutes? That's the beauty. It doesn't have to be complicated. You can simply sit with your thoughts and breathe. You can journal one line about what matters most to you today. You can remind yourself, like a Stoic warrior, that no matter what happens, you'll meet it with courage and calm. The key is that these 10 minutes belong to you and no one else. And here's the transformation. At first, it feels insignificant, just 10 minutes of quiet. But slowly, day by day, you'll notice something radical. You stop feeling rushed. You stop getting hijacked by other people's urgency. You stop reacting like a slave to the world. Instead, you respond like a master of yourself. That calm, centered energy begins to ripple through your entire day. You'll notice you think more clearly, you're less reactive, and you feel grounded in who you are becoming. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Your silent mornings are the daily practice of that truth. They teach you that strength doesn't come from noise or busyness. It comes from mastering your inner world first. If you practice this consistently, people will notice. They'll see that you're calmer under stress, sharper in conversation, and harder to shake when things go wrong. That's because you've trained your mind before the day has even started. This one micro-habit alone can separate you from 99% of people who live on autopilot. It's the first step in becoming unrecognizable. Habit 2. Master the power of silence. In a world that constantly demands our reaction, our opinion, and our attention, silence has become one of the rarest luxuries. Yet, the Stoics considered silence not only a discipline, but a tool for mastery over the self. To them, the man who can remain quiet when everyone else is rushing to speak is the man who possesses true power. Seneca once said, It is better to be silent and be thought a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. Silence is not weakness. It is strength disguised as restraint. It is the pause that separates the wise from the impulsive, the deliberate from the careless. And if you can cultivate the habit of mastering silence, you will reinvent yourself into someone who commands respect without even speaking. Think about it. Most people today rush to fill every gap in conversation, to defend themselves, to prove they're right, or to add their 2 cents. This constant noise doesn't make them more respected. It makes them predictable, fragile, and easily provoked. The Stoics knew that silence protects a man's dignity. It allows him to observe, to understand, and to decide with clarity rather than emotion. When you are silent, you are in control. You are not swayed by insults, nor are you pressured to answer every question. Silence gives you the upper hand because it unsettles others. People expect you to react, but when you don't, when you stay calm and composed, they lose their power over you. This is why silence is a micro-habit that changes everything. You don't need to retreat into a monastery or cut yourself off from society. Start small. When you feel the urge to defend yourself against a petty remark, choose silence. When someone provokes you, remain composed instead of reacting. When there is chaos, don't add your voice. Observe instead. Slowly, you'll notice that people start respecting your presence, not because you talk the most, but because when you do speak, your words carry weight. The fewer words you spend, the more valuable they become. And here's the deeper transformation. Silence doesn't only affect how others see you, it changes how you see yourself. In silence, you gain awareness of your own thoughts. You realize how much noise inside your mind is unnecessary. You train yourself to pause before decisions, to think with reason, and to act from principle rather than impulse. Marcus Aurelius himself practiced this form of restraint. His writings weren't meant for the public. They were his private reflections, born from silence, reminding him to live with strength and wisdom even when he wanted to react. So, if you want to reinvent yourself, start by mastering silence. Let it become your shield against provocation and your tool for inner clarity. Speak less, observe more, and when you do speak, make sure your words reflect wisdom, not impulse. In silence, you will find not emptiness, but incredible strength. The strength to become unshakable, untouchable, and unmistakably important. Habit 3. Practice the art of voluntary discomfort. One of the most counterintuitive, yet deeply transformative habits the Stoics embraced was the practice of voluntary discomfort. At first, it sounds strange. Why would anyone willingly expose themselves to hardship when life is already full of challenges? But here's the secret. When you deliberately step into discomfort on your own terms, you rob fear of its power over you. You become harder to break, more disciplined, and more appreciative of the things you usually take for granted. This small but powerful habit can truly reinvent who you are from the inside out. Seneca, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, often advised his students to occasionally live as if they had nothing. Eat plain food, wear simple clothes, and sleep on the floor. Not because he was against wealth or comfort, but because he understood that comfort can make us soft and fearful. When you taste discomfort voluntarily, you prove to yourself that you can endure it. That means if life ever takes away the luxuries you cling to, you won't be destroyed by it. You'll already know you're capable of surviving and thriving without them. So what does this habit look like today? It doesn't mean abandoning everything and living like a monk, but it does mean incorporating controlled doses of hardship into your routine. It could be something as simple as taking a cold shower in the morning instead of your usual warm one. It could be fasting for a day to test your willpower and to remind yourself that you control your hunger, not the other way around. It might even be choosing to walk instead of driving, or leaving your phone behind for a few hours to practice detachment. Each of these acts trains your mind to be resilient, calm, and strong under pressure. Voluntary discomfort is about reminding yourself of your inner power. When you step into discomfort willingly, you're saying, "I am not a slave to comfort. I am in control." This builds a deep kind of confidence that external achievements can't match. You start to realize that happiness isn't tied to luxury, convenience, or indulgence. It's tied to strength of character. And strength of character only grows when tested. Here's the truth. The modern world is designed to make us soft. Everything is about convenience. Food delivered to your door, climate-controlled environments, endless entertainment on demand. But if you never choose discomfort, you never grow beyond your comfort zone. Voluntary hardship wakes up the warrior within you. It teaches you that you are capable of enduring far more than you thought. So the next time you're faced with a choice between comfort and challenge, choose the challenge. Embrace the cold shower, the difficult workout, the skipped meal, or the silent evening without distractions. These little acts of voluntary discomfort build a fortress of resilience within you. And when you're resilient, you're free. Free from fear, free from weakness, and free from the chains of dependence on things outside your control. This micro-habit may look small, but it's one of the most powerful ways to reinvent yourself. Because once you know you can thrive in discomfort, there's nothing in life that can shake you. Habit 4. Practicing voluntary discomfort, building mental and physical resilience. The modern world has conditioned us to chase comfort at every turn. We sleep in soft beds, eat food at the tap of a button, enjoy climate-controlled environments, and shield ourselves from even the smallest form of inconvenience. While comfort isn't inherently bad, the Stoics believe that too much comfort makes us weak. A person who has never stepped outside their cozy bubble is a person who crumbles the moment life throws something unexpected. This is why practicing voluntary discomfort is one of the most powerful Stoic micro-habits you can adopt. It's not about torturing yourself. It's about training your body and mind to remain steady, no matter what challenges come your way. Seneca once wrote, "Set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself, 'Is this the condition that I feared?'" What he's teaching here is profound. When you deliberately expose yourself to discomfort, you strip fear of its power. Suddenly, the thought of going broke, losing convenience, or enduring hardship doesn't terrify you anymore, because you've already faced a smaller version of it. So how do you practice voluntary discomfort as a daily micro-habit? Start small. Maybe you take a cold shower instead of a warm one. Maybe you skip the luxury coffee and drink plain water for a day. Maybe you go for a long walk without your phone, exposing yourself to silence and boredom instead of constant stimulation. Each of these little acts trains your mind to stop running from discomfort and start embracing it. Over time, you'll find that your threshold for stress, pain, and challenge grows. Things that once seemed unbearable, whether it's failure, rejection, or a tough situation, begin to feel manageable. This Stoic habit also rewires the way you look at happiness. Most people believe happiness comes from chasing comfort, but the Stoics believe true happiness comes from strength. When you know you can survive on little, when you're no longer dependent on constant luxury, you feel a deep kind of freedom. You don't panic when things don't go your way. You don't break down when life gets hard. You carry peace with you because you've proven that external circumstances don't control your inner self. Think of it this way. A person who never trains their body will collapse under the smallest weight. But someone who practices lifting heavy things, even when they don't need to, becomes strong enough to handle anything. Life is no different. Practicing discomfort is like weight training for your soul. So next time you're tempted to avoid inconvenience, remember this. A little discomfort today builds the unshakable version of you tomorrow. As Epictetus put it, difficulties show a person's character. So when trouble comes, think of it as training. Habit 5. Daily evening reflection. Redesign tomorrow before it starts. There's one simple but profoundly transformative Stoic habit that can completely reinvent who you are. Evening reflection. It may sound ordinary, but don't underestimate it, because it was the single most consistent practice of Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus. They believed that each night is an opportunity to refine your character, to look back at the day and ask, did I live according to my values? Did I react with wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice? Or did I let anger, laziness, or fear guide me? This quiet evaluation, done consistently, will shape you into someone unrecognizable over time, because it sharpens your self-awareness and builds your discipline from within. The truth is, most people go through life on autopilot. They wake up, chase distractions, waste energy on trivial things, and then collapse into bed without a second thought. Days slip into weeks, weeks into years, and suddenly, life has passed them by without intentional growth. Stoics refuse to live like this. For them, every single day was a chance to become better than yesterday. Seneca once wrote, "When the light has been taken and my wife has fallen silent, I examine my entire day and go back over what I have done and said." Notice that he didn't let himself fall asleep without accounting for his life. He treated each day like a ledger, measuring losses and gains, virtues and failings. When you adopt this practice, here's what happens. Instead of repeating the same mistakes, you catch them early. If you spoke harshly to someone, you notice it. If you wasted time scrolling or indulging in laziness, you admit it. If you acted with discipline or kindness, you celebrate it. Reflection isn't about guilt. It's about correction and course adjustment. Over time, you become sharper, calmer, more intentional. You stop stumbling into the same traps because you train your mind to see them before they appear. Think about it like this. Every night, you're sketching the blueprint of your future self. Most people are drifting, but you're consciously redesigning who you want to become. You're saying to yourself, tomorrow, I will react with patience. Tomorrow, I will not waste time. Tomorrow, I will focus on what matters. And when you wake up, you step into the day already stronger, because you rehearsed it in your mind. Here's how to start. Tonight before bed, sit in silence for just 5 minutes. Ask yourself 3 questions. What did I do well today? Where did I fall short? What will I do differently tomorrow? That's it. No fancy journals, no complicated systems, just brutal honesty with yourself. If you practice this nightly, you'll be shocked at how quickly you grow. People will look at you months from now and say, "You've changed. You're calmer, more disciplined, more powerful." That's not magic. It's the compounding effect of reflection. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in history, still humbled himself every night to this practice. If he needed it, so do we. This micro habit isn't about small improvement. It's about complete transformation. Reflection is the bridge between who you are today and who you have the potential to become tomorrow.